The Saints just got a double dose of roster news, Who Dat Nation. So welcome into Saints Now by Chat Sports. My name is Trizzy Trace Girouard. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. We're going to break down both moves right now. But really quick reminder, if you haven't already, subscribe to the channel because we put out multiple videos a day. We go live throughout the week. We also post short form content as well. So if you guys want to get more information, you want to get more videos, this is the channel to be. We have already put out a video around some Saints draft rumors. So now let's talk about the latest free agency and the roster news and the updated moves for New Orleans. First things first, we're going to start off with defensive back Ugo Amadi. I will say for this move, I don't hate the idea of bringing him back. I thought that in the time of Ugo Amadi filling in during injuries for the New Orleans Saints, he has been fine and he's answered the call almost every single time. Now, there are a handful of concerns that are justifiable. There are some good run stop moves. There's some good moments in terms of the pass stopping and pass defense and whatnot. But I will tell you this, it's not like defensive back Ugo Amadi is being brought in to be a starter. I think that he is a player who does have some value as a defensive back and as a depth piece. And there is obviously familiarity there. And I'll tell you what, if it comes down to it and you got to move Alontae Taylor around again, I think Ugo Amadi can be a player who can fulfill that nickel role for the New Orleans Saints. An overall coverage grade of 55.2 according to Pro Football Focus. His pass rush and his run defense grade were really good, or not really good, were much better. 68.4 for the pass rush, 66.6 for the run defense. He had a grand total of 3 pressures and 56 total solo tackles according to PFF. And obviously Pro Football Focus isn't the metrics to, justify every single opinion and live and die by every single thought. But I'll say for this guy particularly, Ugo Amadi, he's not a player who's going to be getting a ton of reps. Hopefully, fingers crossed. Like, this doesn't stop you from adding to the cornerback group still early in the draft and honestly making it a priority in the late waves of free agency. I still believe with Ugo Amadi, he's a guy who needs to not get a ton of run, but get some. Like, I go back to the fact that I think this is a good depth move. I keep going back to the fact that this is a move that people are going to freak out and say, this is terrible. Why are we justifying these decisions? Why are we rewarding poor football play and giving these players bad contracts? Well, I'm here to tell you, you're not rewarding them. You're bringing back a player who's filled in okay and been a guy that's been somewhat reliable when the cornerback group has been extremely unhealthy over the past, honestly, 2 seasons. And Alontae Taylor is a player who I really like. He's extremely disruptive. He's extremely efficient. However, you got to give him some time to get off the field and be able to get a break, get some water for the love of God, tie your cleats. I mean, things happen. Football is a human sport and people have human tendencies. So for Ugo Amadi, I don't want to sit here and say this is going to be some move that's going to send the Saints over the top. This is a depth move. This is a player who, over the course of his Saints tenure, has been somewhat efficient in terms of being a productive player. However, in the past 2 years, the snap alignment has been a little bit all over the place. Some on the defensive line, some in the box, a lot in the slot. This past season, he logged over 400 snaps in the slot, which is the 3rd most in his career, 427 to be exact, 27 over at the corner. So, again, this isn't a player who you should expect to see making a high impact. It's a player who hopefully he can make some plays when his number is called. And, at the end of the day, it's a solid depth signing, and that's what I'm going to call it. I don't hate this move. I don't love this move, but it's a move nonetheless. I want to get your thoughts in the comment section. Do you like bringing back Ugo Amadi, and do you think that the Saints need to continue to add to that squad? I'm a firm believer they do. Like, I would still go and prioritize drafting somebody in those first 3 rounds. I honestly... You have, 6 picks in the top 150 selections? You got to make at least one of those a cornerback, if you ask me. But just get down in the comment section, share your thoughts. And I'm a guy who's trying to eat healthy or lose some weight, but I don't want to sacrifice the quality and the taste of my food. I'll tell you what, Factor Meals has made my life so much easier. And if you're ready to optimize your nutrition this year, Factor has chef-made gourmet meals that make eating well easy. They're dietitian approved and ready to heat and eat in 2 minutes. So you can fuel right and feel great no matter what life throws at you. Get started at factormeals.com/SaintsChat50off and use code SaintsChat50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. Factor can help you feel your best all day long with wholesome smoothies, breakfasts, grab-and-go snacks, and more add-ons. Reach your goals this year with ingredients you can trust and convenience that can't be beat. With 40 options across 8 dietary preferences on the menu each week, it's easy to pick meals tailored to your goals. Choose from preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, or Keto. I'm a guy who's been trying to clean up my diet. My girlfriend, she recently has gone gluten-free, and I can tell you right now, not all Factor meals are gluten-free and fill those dietary restrictions, but a lot of them do, and all of them taste so dang good. And I love Factor because of how busy I always am and how often I am on the run. So rather than having to drive through a McDonald's or go get some fast food, I pop one of my Factor meals into the microwave and within just minutes, I have a delicious, nutritious meal ready to eat. So eat smarter with Factor. Get started with factormeals.com/SaintsChat50off and use code SaintsChat50off to get 50% off your first box plus free shipping. That's code SaintsChat50off at factormeals.com/SaintsChat50off to get 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. All of that information is in the comments and description of this video. Shout out to Factor Meals for sponsoring. We're so glad to have you back. Alrighty, so let's keep talking about the other free agency move with the New Orleans Saints. It's Dillon Radunz. He was originally a part of the Tennessee Titans organization. He spent some time playing guard and tackle. Honestly, actually played all three of the interior, or all of the offensive line positions except for the center. So he's played left tackle, left guard, right tackle, right guard. He's played all 4 of those spots, so you got to love that. He started in 15 games back in 2024. He's only 26 years old, so in terms of upside, there is some. In terms of the reality, I'm not going to sit here and say this is a play that's going to move the needle. I mean, when the move happened out loud, verbally, all in unison, all of the chat sports guys said, wow, he stinks. Do I know a ton about him? No. Am I going to pretend to you and lie to you and say I know everything and I've watched all this tape? Absolutely not. But what I can tell you is he's a player who was drafted 53rd overall in the second round back in 2021 out of North Dakota State. And last year in 903 snaps total. PFF logged him at a overall grade of 57.0. He was better in defending the pass versus the run, a 63.9 pass blocking grade to a 53.6 run blocking grade. He had a total of 5 penalties, 6 sacks, 23 pressures logged. Like, that's not ideal. And unfortunately, I hate to say this, it feels like you can go ahead and ink him in at the left guard spot. Although I do believe Nick Saldiveri should continue to compete for that spot, I also just have a hard time believing that the New Orleans Saints are going to go and add another left guard and expect him to start week 1. Like, there's not a lot of options left in free agency. There's not a lot of options in the draft that I'm very confident to start day 1. In terms of what's the best plan, I think a competition makes sense. Maybe you can get some good stuff out of him, like you did Lucas Patrick whenever he was able to play last year. I don't love this move. I don't hate this move, but I will say that there is the positional versatility, which is it's convenient and it's nice. And with the Saints last year, their offensive line looked completely different at the end of the season versus at the beginning just due to injuries. So for a guy over the course of his career who has over 150 snaps at all 4 spots, or all spots on the offensive line excluding center, I like that. Over 1,000 snaps at the right guard position, 322 at the left guard position. Most of those at the right guard spot came this past season. So beforehand, predominantly a right tackle and left guard in terms of the snaps where he led most of his time. I still believe the Saints need to add more talent to the offensive line. The overall talent needs to be better. The depth needs to be better, but they also did bring back Will Clapp, or they brought back Will Clapp, and they re-signed Landon Young. I was about to say they brought back both of them, but technically Will Clapp, he was with the team, then he wasn't with the team, and he came back. Landon Young, he was with the team last year. He was re-signed in free agency, so he is back with the New Orleans Saints this year. All in all, I think that the Saints free agency has been good. Hasn't been bad, but I just believe that there should not be content. Like, when you have the amount of draft capital that you have and 9 total picks in the 2025 NFL draft, you have an opportunity to really add to that squad and to get some good players who can make an impact over the course of their NFL tenure. So, I look to the draft and I love the idea of drafting the Georgia guard, Tate Ratledge, in, day 2 or 3. I think that would be an excellent selection for the New Orleans Saints. It adds a player at a position in need. And in my opinion, all offensive line spots are pretty much solidified. I still believe Cesar Ruiz, personal opinion, is a little bit of a frustrating player, but that doesn't mean he's a bad player. Just sometimes he's really good, sometimes it's not. Trevor Penning, he developed well this past season, and I really liked switching him over from left tackle to right. And I also think Taliesin Fuaga was really, really good last year in his rookie season. Eric McCoy, he is a phenomenal center, so we know that he's good there. Left guard is where things have continued to be a problem, at least in the offseason in terms of adding or losing players. Lucas Patrick, he is no longer available. You also lost out on all of the free agents in terms of the offensive linemen that you could have grabbed. Look, I don't think Tevin Jenkins, he also got signed away to the Browns. Yeah, to the Browns. So, look, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Saints are done. And I'm not going to sit here and say that the Saints got everything right. But these are 2 moves that I think make a positive impact in terms of the depth. And I also think with Dillon Radunz, he is a player who can start. If you can get good play out of him and you can have a good coach pour into him and he can be in a good system, then maybe things can work out a lot better than we thought. Fingers crossed. I'm not sure that's the case, but fingers are sure as hell crossed. And I just got to say this to round it out. My final thoughts, I don't want to be done here. Just because you signed a DB, just because you signed an offensive lineman, you still got to prioritize. You still got to add to those positions in the draft because, quite frankly, the players you have on the roster right now just aren't cutting it. You need more high-end depth. You need better low-end depth. And to be totally honest, you just need a more impressive roster as a whole. So these moves are okay. They're not horrible. They're not great. They're just moves nonetheless. So we'll have to see how things shake out. I think Dillon Radunz will be your starting left guard. Ugo Amadi should be the backup in the slot or in the nickel for the New Orleans Saints. So there you have it. Those are the 2 moves. Thank you guys so much for watching. Y'all stay golden. Be sure to subscribe. Linked in the comments, by the way, in the description of this video is the link to our AM video. The New Orleans Saints, as we speak, they are currently in Miami at the Hurricanes Pro Day watching Cam Ward, Elijah Arroyo, Xavier Restrepo, and all of those other very talented Miami Hurricanes football players right now as we speak. And then tonight, they're flying to Austin to have dinner with quarterback Quinn Ewers. I gave my takes on both of those in our AM video, so I hope you guys check that one out. Y'all stay golden, and we'll see you next time.